Morning, everybody. We are on Bava Basra, Daf Kuf Chaf Vav Amud Aleph. First line. Amar Rafuna Amar Ravasi. Rafuna says the name of Ravasi. Bechor shemicha micha. If a bechor is mocha, then he's mocha. What does that mean? It means, as the Rashbam tells us, Afagav do kim el devra kol de ein habechor notel pishnai b'shavach sheshbichu yisam lachar mitas avihen. Even though if the brothers invest the money, so the brother who gets bechor does not get double in the profits of the investments. Miui micha v'amar. If he says before they invest it, al tashbichu chelkiel lenechlok miyad v'ashbiach ani shnei chalakim shli ve'eto kol shifchan. Don't invest my part. Give me the double portion, and then I will invest in myself. And they don't listen to him. Hari micha behen. He made a macha. V'yito pishnaim, and he gets double of the profits. Dabaskin lekaman yeshel lebechor pishnaim kodem chaluka misha shechafetz lischot b'bechor shechavitz lischot b'bechor aso. From the time he wants to be zochen is bechor v'harei chayfetz lito chelko l'alter v'zoch b'chel b'chor aso miyad kol makom shu hilkach nechasav didei ashbach. So since he made a macha, and he said, I don't want you investing the properties, and they invested it anyway, so Lamaisa, at the end of the day, he is going to get double from the profits as well. Amar Rabba mistaber Talmud Ravasi ba'navim muvatzrim zeisim umaskim aval drachum lo. Says it makes sense that he will get pishnayim in the stuff that they went against his will, because it makes sense only in cases where you had grapes on a vine or olives on a tree, and you cut off the grapes, you cut off the olives, and then they went up in value. So over there, he's going to get double because the grape is a grape and an olive is an olive, and it's still in the same form that it was at the time that he was macha. However, drachum lo, if they take the grapes or the olives and they stomp on them and make them into grape juice and make it into olive oil, then at the end of the day, he will not get double the profits, even though they did it against his will. Why is that? Says the Rashbam in the fourth wide line. Because we have a technical problem. Hachanami kaninu yasme lahani anavim b'shinoi kain nira be'enai. So you have a little bit of a technical problem. They went against his will, and they stole the grapes, and they stole the anavim, and they invested them, or they just kept them, let's say, but he really wanted them for himself to do whatever he wanted with it. So if it just goes up in value, they're his, and he gets the pishnayim in the value. But if they take them and they make it into grape juice, make it into olive oil, even though mitzara din, quote unquote, he should really get a pishnayim of whatever it's worth now. Lamaisa, we have a technical problem that the halacha is that when you steal something and you change the form of it, so you acquire it right away. So at the end of the day, since they stole it and changed the form, even though now it went up in value, they had changed the form. Therefore, the pishnayim will not take place, and he will not get pishnayim in that value. He'll only get pishnayim on the value of the grapes or the value of the olives that they were at the time that the other brothers took them and made them into grape juice or olive oil. Zok the Gemara, Rav Yosef Amar, Afilu drachim. And Rav Yosef argues seemingly and says that even if he went ahead and they were drachim, even though they changed it, he still gets pishnayim on the value of the grape juice or the olive oil that it went up. Drachim, eikara in vehashtacham. How can you say that? Originally it was grapes, and now it's grape juice. Or originally it was olives, now it's olive oil. Kidamar avukva barchama litin lo demei hezek anavav hachanami nosin lo demei hezek anavav. And the Rashbam explains over here that what are we talking about? Rav Yosef Amar filu drachim. Kasal kadaita chashta da filu drachim shakul b'sheva chayayim pishnayim v'hainu dikamasma b'gemara darkum amay shakul pishnayim hamei kara navi v'hashtachamra v'kani b'shinoi kedifrishis. So the Rashbam says the question that we asked: how can you say that even if you make it into olive oil or grape juice, you're going to get double of that? Lamaisa, they changed it, and what do they answer? Mishani kinamar avoka. No, you're understanding it wrong. Lekaman hachanami nosen lo demehezek anav klomar. Hi d'amar Rav Yosef afilu drachum lo litol sheva chayayin hayesra al navim amar devadei lo shakel demei navim. No, he agrees with Ravasi that if the brothers take it and they make it into grape juice and it goes up in value, then the bechor will not get double on the value that it went up. Again, he'll still get a piece of the value that it went up because it's still his grapes. He won't get double.
Why should he get anything? If you steal something and you make it into something else, you owe for the item you stole.
1 second, but that's when you steal something that belongs to somebody else. He still has a piece in those grapes.
They stole it.
But he still has a piece in those grapes. He's a pashut guy. They didn't steal. The question is, did it belong to him? The chelet bechorah didn't belong to him. the extra portion, but at the end of the day, he still had a piece in the original grapes. It's as if you stole my stuff. They didn't actually steal his stuff. It's his stuff as well. Or else why would he get back anything?
Well, he would get the original value of the grapes because any Geneva you have to pay back what you stole. By taking it, making it, if he doesn't have a shaykhus to the improvement, because it shouldn't take Pishnayim because it's not his, why should he get any of the value, increased any of that money?
So you want a taina that not only will he not get Pishnayim on the increase in the value between the grapes and the grape juice, he will not even get Pi Echad in the increase of the value of the grapes.
We're normal case.
Normal case.
A stole from B.
The way I understood the case before was that Yisomim, brothers who steal it, so he's not Micha, so he doesn't get, right, in the other case that we had on Kuf Chav Dalet. So how did we understand that? We understood before we brought in this whole thing. So we have a case that if the brothers go ahead and they steal it, so...
I'm just understanding, if the logic is he doesn't get because it's based upon the concept of theft, then I don't understand how we derive where we're going to. That's too much. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's not a problem. But I'm just thinking again. We're just talking about that. We're not.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees that he gets back the value of the grapes and the thing as they were when they inherited it. The question is if the brothers steal that and invest it. So we were under the impression that if they don't steal it and it just goes up by itself, shifcha memela, so then the bechor gets double in the increase in the value of the house, let's say. But if it was that they took it and they invested it, avalo b'shevach sheshbichu yisomim. See, the lashon I always understood is bechor nota pishnayim b'shevach sheshivchu, avalo b'shevach sheshbichu. So I always understood that, but I hear what you're saying. The taina, you're arguing that really he shouldn't get double, he shouldn't get even single on that.
What we say double for Shmoneh Esrei?
Regular Shmoneh Esrei. What?
What we say double?
Which way is Shmoneh Esrei in this room? This way. Thank you. Okay, that way, the other way. Fine. So, what do we have over here? So, I don't know. We'd have to look into that. What exactly happens? So let's just read the Rashbam and see if he explains it again. I'm going to it's a short off, don't worry, we'll be finished on time. Let's just read Amarabba Mistabra Milsa Dravasi the Yitol HaBechor Pishnayim. You see I'm in the second Rashi on the page, right before the wide lines. B'sheva Jishbichu Yisomim B'shio Machasok Shemicha B'nav Mechabar Mavatzim Yisomim Shlomi Daito Inam Daito V'Akorcha Shlovatzu Ozeisim Haim B'chabar Kishemichu Maskum Masika B'Shevach Shakel B'chor Pishnayim Shnota Shnechalag Minanavim Kemo Shehein B'tzirim V'lo Yitain Lahem Shevach B'tzira Danav Mayu V'Akatim Nanim Ninhu V'Anaim Shel B'chor Hu Dashbuach Reizadoma Legzopara V'Okira D'Mishali Mosa Kemo Shehoa V'Lonishes Aval Darachom Almanas Liskos Ben B'Shevach Dricha Lo Shakil Bechor Pishnayim Kidanana goes Aleitz Masan Kalim B'Shalim Kishas Agzela Dekanya B'Shinoi Hachanami Kaninu Yasme Lahani Navim B'Shinoi Kach Nira B'Einai. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like what you're saying, that they were actually Kona the grapes. I didn't think about that. So they were actually.
The flow of the Gemara is not that way, but that's
why. Why is the flow not that way? We're talking about the echelak of the Bechor. Bechor shemicha micha.
Yeah, but we don't say anything. Well, I don't know. I'm confused because it doesn't say.
Well, I wasn't confused. Now I'm confused. But I was okay. No, it's okay. Yeah. So what do you mean?
My job here is finished.
So what do you mean? What do you mean that it doesn't? That's not the.
Gemara only talks about whether or not gets a double portion of the shevach. It doesn't say he doesn't.
Again, I understand. So you're using Svara to say that he'll get back the grapes, but he won't get any portion of the shevach that it goes up.
And the Gemara doesn't even seem to talk about
it. Doesn't talk about that, right? That's why we're here, to be the Rishonim on the Gemara. Zak the Gemara. So, but according to Rav Yosef, so it seems to not make sense because afilu drachum, you're still going to get seemingly the double portion. It's hard enough to understand why you should even get one portion now. Why are you going to get a double portion? So Gemara answered, Kedamar Rav Ukva Barchama, Litain lo demei hezek anavav, Hachanami no sein lo demei hezek anavav. What does that mean? So it's very fascinating. He says in Beshani Kedamar Rav Ukva, it's the middle of that Rashi, Rav Yosef. Come on, Hachanami no sein lo demei hezek anavav klomar. Hi Damar Rav Yosef afilu drachum lo, like we thought, Lito sheva chayayna yesra al navim amar. He didn't say that you're going to go ahead and you're going to get the extra value, that it goes up double in the value that it goes up, because of course you can't say that because you change it from grapes to grape juice. Divadai lo shakil ela deme'anavim. Elahacha b'mayaskina, and this is fascinating. Shepiches hayayin v'nishbach. What happened? They took the grapes, they stole them, they made them into wine, and it spilled. O niskalkel, or it got ruined. It's soured. She'ein shaveh k'deme'anav. Now it's not even worth how much it was worth when they stole it. V'asur Rav Yosef l'meimer dafilu drachu mufachsu b'chor notel pishnayim ba'anavim b'tzurim k'damim shayushavim ba'anavim. Dechevan demicha ben lo avaluhu lidroch anavim shalom mishalmin lo deme'anavav hakol k'shas ha'gzela. Umar marchadu v'lo pligi. Rabba Ire de Einotel B'Shua Chayayin. Rav Yosef Asalamim Adachanami Lo Shakim B'Bechisa Sayayin Midmei Anavim. Fascinating. So what is he saying here? We originally read it. Amar Afun Amar Avasi. Back. Bechor Shemicha Micha. If the Bechor throws up his hands and says, "Don't invest the grapes, just give me my portion, a double portion in the grapes." So he's Micha, and if they go ahead and they invest it, he gets double in the investment. Amar Rabba, he clarifies, that's only if they take the grapes and they put them aside, or they take the olives and they put them aside and it goes up in value, he's going to get double the value because they didn't change it. However, if they change it into olive oil or into wine, so he's not going to get double the value of that profit, he's just going to get the original grapes or the original olives he was supposed to get. He'll get a pishnayim of that stuff, but he won't get a pishnayim of the thing, and he might not even get a piachad of the increase in value. Rav Yosef seems to come along and say, even if they change it, even if they make it into grape juice, he'll still get pishnayim. Says Gemara, how could that be? We know that if you steal something and you change it, you don't get it. He said it's not what he's saying. He's not coming to say that if they change it, he's going to get pishnayim on the value. He's saying that if they change it, and then it gets ruined. So if they took all of the grapes and then they're all ruined now, so you might argue that what? They stole it, they changed it, and now it's gone, so he doesn't get anything. Says the Gemara, now the brothers are still going to owe him the value of the grapes or the value of the olives as they were at the time that he stole them. It means, yes, he's not going to get the double of the value that they go up, but he also can't lose the principal that he should have gotten. Since they stole it from him, at the end of the day, even if that goes to zero, they still owe him his amount of grapes, which was Pishnaim, his amount of grapes that he was due at the time that they stole them. He's not going to lose that. So he's not arguing and saying, yes, when it goes up in value, he gets double. No. When it goes up in value, he doesn't get double if they went ahead and they made it into olive oil or into grape juice. But he's also protected on the downside that if it goes down in value, Lamais, he's not going to lose double on the down in value. He's going to be able to keep the grapes or the olives that he originally was supposed to get, which again would be Pishnayim of the original grapes or the original olives. That's what he says, and that's what Rav Yosef adds, and that's why they're not arguing. Heicha idmar demar to Rav Ukva bar Chama. Where did Rav Ukva actually say this? That it protects him on the downside. Ahadamar of Yehuda Amar Shmuel Bechor Pashat Sheniach Lanavia Lanavim Vatzim Zeisim Maskim Bechor Notal Pishanim Shnayim Filu Drachum Meikar Inve Hashtacham Rav Ukva bar Chama Litin Lo Demei Hezek Anavav. And you get that from the words Demei Hezek. He's protected on the downside, even though he's not necessarily going to get on the upside. Good. Zok the Gemara. Amar Avasi, thank you. That was good. Good discussion. Curious to see what the halach is, but I think that what you're saying makes a lot of sense. That he would not get Pishnayim on the difference. Yeah, and he wouldn't even get Piechad on the difference. But again, he's losing out, but he's not really losing out because at the end of the day, he's just not gaining in the profit. It's a lost. It's a cost opportunity. It's lost. It's lost possible profits.
It's only because of the argument, the logic.
Right. Yeah, it's only because of the logic. But he's not losing anything. He's still, at the end of the way, no matter how you dice it, he's still getting as if the father died today, left these much grapes and this much olives. He's still going to get double. He's still going to get what he should have gotten. He's just not going to get anything with the profits, and he's not going to get anything with on the downside. Zak the Gemara, Amar Avasi, Bechor shenata achela kepashat viter. What happens if the father dies? And the Bechor says, here's a sada, and we're going to split up the sada. So they split up everything one by one. They go through all the stuff on the paper. We're going to split up this sada first. And he says, I'm viter, I don't want double portion in this sada. So what happens? He's viter. He doesn't have to take a double portion. So says the Gemara, my viter. What does it mean that he was viter? Rav Papa Mishmei de Rav Amar. He got up to this. He came to the first daf, which I have to give him credit, and then he came back to hear the beginning of the second daf. Zag the Gemara, Amar Vasi, B'choshno Dochela Kapashut Viter, my Viter, Rav Papa and Rav Papi. Don't confuse them. Rav Papa Mishmei de Rav Amar, Viter Be'osa Sada. When he says I don't want a double portion, he's saying I don't want a double portion in this Sada. But he's not being Viter in all of the Sadas. It means he's not taking a double portion in this Sada, but when it comes to split the next Sada, he gets the double portion. Rav Papi Mishmei de Rav Amar, Viter B'chol Anachasim Kulan. he's viter on all of the nechasim. And even though he goes ahead and he doesn't take over here, he doesn't take a double portion here, in the next one, he's not going to get a double portion either. That's Rav Papi. And the Rashbam explains that when it says viter, he's machal. And the reason he can be machal is because, like we said, it's laseis lo pishnayim, it's a matana. And just like you have a choice whether you want to take a matana or not, you have a choice whether you want to take pishnayim or not. So he can choose not to take pishnayim. The only machlokes is Rav Papa says he doesn't take pishnayim here, he still gets pishnayim in the other sados. And Rav Papi says you don't take pishnayim here, you're basically saying I don't want pishnayim in any of the sados. What's the machlokes based on? Sak the Gemara, Rav Papa mishmei de Rava Amar viter b'osa sadaka savar ein lo lebechor kodem chaluku madas aliyadei achil idach lo achil. A bechor does not have anything before the chalukah, and therefore whatever he gets here he's getting, and he's being mochel, but he doesn't yet have the piece over there because we haven't got into that yet. As we come to each field, that's when you get your piece in the chalukah. Now you could be viter, but if he's viter now, lemaisa, what's he doing? If we say that he's viter those fields as well, he would be mevater on a davar shelo bala olam. So as it comes to be split, we consider it to be a davar shabala olam, and it doesn't become his when the father dies. As opposed to Rav Papi, Mishmei de Rav Amar, Viter b'chor nechasim kulan, kasavar yeshol the b'chor kodem chaluka. As soon as the father dies, the b'chor basically gets his piece in all of the different fields, and therefore, mida achil b'ha achil b'kulu. Once he's mochel on this, he's mochel on all of them. Let's just see this in the Rashbam, and everything will be clear. So Rav Papa, who says that if he's mochel on this, he's not mochel on all of them, kasavar ein lo lebechor chelek b'chora, lo laseis v'lo limkor chodem chaluka. It's not his before the chalukah. You see, we're in the Rashbam. Kidechsiv laseis lo ad de asya liyade de mekabel matana. Until it actually comes into his hands, it's not his. So again, the way he's learning is that as we split up the father's properties, it doesn't belong to anybody till we sit here and we split it up. It's not that the father dies and you on that portion now we just have to split up which portion you get. You don't have a piece in any of the fields until we actually go to the lawyers and we sit down and we start splitting everything up. Hilka chaysada shabal yado chelko mimena. Therefore, as we come along, each piece will be divided individually. So when we go ahead and we divide up this field now, that field is not, we're not even discussing that field yet. So now when he comes to be mochel on this field, he's being mochel specifically on this field. But he can't be mochel, we can't say he's being mochel on that field, because that field, for all intents and purposes, it's in this world, but it's not in this world of this family splitting up yet. And for sure, his chelek pashas, he doesn't get until they actually go to split it up. And then he just adds over here and he says very interestingly, that doesn't mean that if the guy dies, he gives up his portion, because we know that if he dies, ben ein lo, ayin alav, his son steps in his place. So just because we're not splitting it up till now, and just because he doesn't inherit it as soon as the father dies, doesn't mean that now his ben has no say in the property. It just means it's not his until they actually split it up. But his son, because of the pasuk of ayin alav, can still step in if he dies and get his portion. But again, for all intents and purposes, Rav Papa is saying that we deal with each piece of property individually. And until we get to that piece of property, we're not talking about it. And therefore, when I'm mochel, and I say I don't want a double portion in this piece of property, why I would do that, that's a separate question. I'm just being nice, whatever it is. We're not on the level of people that would necessarily be mochel. But he wants to be mochel for whatever reason. He wants the brothers to all share this piece of property. This is the first piece we're going to go. It's going to take some time to set up that piece. The father just died. We want everybody to be. He's a nice brother. We don't have to assume that everybody's fighting all the time. So he wants everybody to have an equal portion. You know what? Later on, when we get to those properties, after everybody's settled and you're able to work this land a little bit, then I'll take my double portion. But right now, I don't need it. So at the end of the day, Rav Papa says, okay, but if I'm mochel on this field, it doesn't mean I'm mochel on that field. That field's not on the table yet. It's a davar shelo bala olam. I'm mochel in this field. When we get to that field, if I want to be mochel again, I'm mochel. If not, I get a double portion in that field. But Rav Papi says no, that there's a yeshlo b'chor kodem chaluka. What does that mean, Rashbam? V'alfagav dechelek pashut ein lo. He agrees that a chelek pashut doesn't come. Nobody collects their chelek pashut until they come ahead and they come to split that individual field. Dehaksiv laseis. But he learns from the word laseis. The other opinion learned laseis is that it's matana, and he could be mochelet if he wants. He also holds that he could be mochelet, but he also learns that the word laseis means misha shemeis ha'av hurai liten lo. That somehow when it comes to Bechor, because of the word laseis, as soon as the father dies, it's as if the Bechor portion goes straight to the Bechor. Now again, we still have to sit there and logistically split up the property and figure out which part goes to him. But we sort of look at it in halachic mind, that whatever piece he ends up getting, it wasn't transferred to him now at the time of the Chalukah. It was already retroactively transferred to him at the time that the father died, even though he didn't necessarily get through the lawyers until 2 years later. But laseis means it goes to him as soon as the father dies. Therefore, hilkach bebechor talya milsa, de b'shah sheyirtzi yiske bechelko, ukidamar leil bechor shemicha micha. V'hilkach yesh koach biyado limcho kol shah sheyirtza dahainu davar shabal olam. What's the nafkamina? The nafkamina is that if it's his really, before they split it up, they just have to logistically split up to see which part. So now when I'm mocha on this field, that field for the bechor part is already a davar shabal olam. Therefore, when I'm mocha in this field, I'm mocha in that field as well. Why is that? Says the Gemara, says the Rashbam, v'anan sadeh. It's an interesting anan sadeh. Anan sadeh means we are going to testify. Dechihechi de'achil b'hasadeh, achil b'kulhu. V'chevan diyesh koach biyado liskos. Yesh koach nami biyado litem v'limcho v'havi melchila. We are sadeh, that if the guy was willing to go ahead and be mochel in this field, he means he's being mochel in every field. Now, of course, it means that if the guy says, I'm only being mochel in this field, of course, that could be chal. Whenever we talk about these things and we're trying to read people's minds, it's when they're not clear. So again, Rav Papi says, since technically mitzad halacha, all the fields and all the bechor portions of each field go to the bechor, they just have to split them up, go as soon as the father dies. Therefore, all the fields for the bechor part at least are considered to be a davar shabal olam. And therefore, when he says, I'm mochel my bechor portion in this field, he's really being mochel his bechor portion in all of the fields. And Lamaisa, they're all davar shabal olams, and he's not going to get a double portion. Again, if he says, I only want to be mochel in this field, of course he could do that. According to Rav Papa, it doesn't automatically become his as soon as the father dies. It's not until we have it in front of us. And therefore, each one will be treated individually. And we'll say, if you're mochel in this one, then you still get the double portion in that one. That's the machlokas. Good? It's interesting because it doesn't mean that we don't say the Anan Sadeh according to Rav Papa. But even if we say the Anan Sadeh, even if we would say Anan Sadeh that this guy wants to, when he's mochel this field, he wants to be mochel in all the fields, even if we would say an Anan Sadeh according to the first opinion, it still wouldn't work. Because the mice, it's a davar shelo bo la'olam. Because technically, practically, because the fact that he's not, as the Gemara says, he doesn't have his chus, Yeshlo, Einlo the Bechor Kodem Chaluka. Even if we would say that when he's mochel here, it really means to be mochel all of them, it doesn't matter. Rav Papa would still say he's still not mochel all of them because, again, it's a davar shelo bo la'olam because we can't deal with the property until we deal with each individual property. That's what Rav Papa says. Rav Papa says no, it's as if it's in his possession already, and therefore when he's mochel on this, we read his mind unless he says otherwise. It says you mochel on this, Anan Sadeh, you want to be mochel across the board, and because technically mitzad halacha, it's already, the bechor part is in your possession, you have the right to be mochel across the board, and therefore when you're mochel this, you're mochel all. Zak the Gemara v'had Rav Papi v'Rav Papa lav beferish idmar el miklala idmar. Again, it's always important to realize what they're saying. Rav Papa is talking mishmei derava, and Rav Papi is talking mishmei derava. So we should know that they didn't actually get up in the base medrash and say, this is the halacha, he can be mochel, he can't be mochel. Through a case that we have, we see what their opinion is. That's what it means. Lav beferish idmar el miklala idmar. Dehahu bechor de'azil zavin nichsei dideyu depashan. There was a bechor who sold his portion and the portion of the Pashat. The Rashbam suggests originally that maybe it means he sold his portion that was Pashat and he sold his Bechor portion. The Rashbam rejects it and says no, he sold all the portions, his Bechor and Pashat part and the Pashat part of the other guy. That means, let's say there are two brothers and there was a field here. So the guy went ahead, I'm supposed to get as a Bechor, I'm supposed to get 2/3 and he's supposed to get 1/3. I went ahead and I sold the entire field. I'm not a bad guy. I don't want to mess over my brother. I just felt this is Thornhill. It was a good time to sell. I sold it and I plan on giving him his 1/3 in the profit of the house. But now what happens? The brother says, I didn't want you to sell the house. So now what do we do? So there was a brother, Am the Bechor, who sold the entire field. Then, Azol Yasme B'nei Pashut, Lamechal Tamre Mehanu Lekuchos. So the Yisomim of the B'nei Pashut, now the guy dies. Again, it doesn't have to say this, it's just giving an example of a case. It could have been the Ben himself. The Yisomim go, and they're hungry. So they go to what they think or would like their field to be. They go to that 1/3 portion of the field and they start eating the fruits. Mechunu, the guys who bought it from the Bechor start beating up the Yisomim, which wasn't the nicest thing in the world anyway. Amri lehu krovim. So the krovim, these Yisomim said, Lo mistaya dizdaftinu l'nechasayu. It's not bad enough that you stole, quote unquote, our third. Now somebody said, why is that? What do you mean? Well, it's just like you buy any field. Whenever you buy a field, you got to make sure that there are no liens on it. When you bought it, yes, the brother might not have done the right thing, and they might have tainas on the brother, but at the end of the day, they have tainas on the guy who bought it, because at the end of the day, you should have checked when you bought it to make sure that the guy who sold it to you had a right to sell it to you. So first of all, it's bad enough that you bought a field that you shouldn't have bought, because it belonged to us and we didn't agree to it. Ela mimcha nami mechisilu, and now you're going to go ahead and beat us up when we want to come eat our own fruits. Atsu lakame de Rava. So they came before Rava. Amar lehu lo asav lo klum. You're right. He didn't have a right to sell it, and therefore it actually belongs to the Yisomim. And the Bechor had no right to sell the Bechor. Mar savar lo asa klum bepalga. So Rav Papi paskin that when it says lo asa klum, when Rava said lo asa klum, because again that's how or else you always have a question. What does that mean? Like were they sitting there and just one guy was sitting in the front row and one guy was sitting in the back row and they didn't necessarily hear what Rava said? Could be. But most of the time it's that Rava said something and he was a little bit general. He said lo asa lo klum. You're right, I paskin that the Bechor, when he sold it, didn't do anything. And what does that mean he didn't do anything? It can mean many things. Pashup Shad is that he didn't do anything. That means that the sale doesn't go through. But as we'll see in the Gemara, maybe it means that he didn't do anything with the section of the Bechor, or he didn't do anything with the section of his brother, but for his section it went through. Or something else. That's where these types, it's just important to understand where Rav Papi and Rav Papa, like how do they misunderstand? It could be that they just heard differently, that they heard third person, or that one guy was sitting in the back and one guy was sitting in the front. But more likely, Rava said something that was a little bit general, and they understood, and it happens all the time. When you go, yesterday, somebody came and somebody was telling me that they heard at my drasha, I don't know who was there yesterday, but they heard at my drasha that I told the story, which I told the story, and I said the word pikuach nefesh. So in the end, they said they heard, and they said that you came and you gave a drasha, and you were talking about chil Hashem. I said pikuach nefesh sounds like chil Hashem, but it's the same exact thing. I said pikuach nefesh. Somebody that was there, who misheard me or misinterpreted, was sitting in the back, or was talking, or was sleeping, or whatever, and they heard that it was chil Hashem. So that's the same thing over here with Rava. Over here, Rava said something, and again, a little different. He said something that was general, and now Rav Papi and Rav Papa are understanding it differently. So what happens? How did Rav Papi understand it? Again, who's Rav Papi? Rav Papi is the one who's the second one, who says that if he's viter, so he's viter in all of them. Because we hold that when the Bechor gets it, for all intents and purposes, he gets his piece right away. So lo asa klum bepalga. He didn't do anything with the palga. That means he didn't do anything with his half, and as the Rashbam says, he had no right to sell his half. And he had no right to sell the other brother's half. But he had a right to sell his third, not his half. He didn't have a right to sell the third that was Pasha, because we said that doesn't come until you do the Chalukah. He had no right to sell the third that belongs to the brother, because it's not his. He has a right to sell the third that's his as the Bechor. Because we said that the Bechor is Yeshlo the Chelek as soon as the father dies. Therefore, even though it hasn't yet been split up, he has a right to sell that third. So when he said lo asa v'lo klum, Rav Papi understands that what? The 2/3, his third of regular pashut and his brother's third of pashut, do not get sold. But the third that he sold of his Bechor, that does get sold using the same svara that he has a right to sell it. And that's why we can learn now, we can infer that in this case where he's viter on kol hanechasim, because he has a right to go in and be viter, the Bechor, no matter where they are. Umar Savra, and Rav Papa says, Bekulu. He had no right to sell any of it, because ein lo the chelek of the Bechor until they actually split it up. Therefore, since they didn't split this up yet, when he sold the field, he clearly didn't have the right to sell his brother's field. He didn't have the right to sell his own pashut part, and lemaisa, he didn't have a right to sell his Bechor part either, and therefore the entire sale is null and void. Shalchu mitam. So now we want to go ahead and paskin. So they sent from there. Where's there? Eretz Yisrael. Bechor shemachar kodem chalukah lo asa klum. Bechor was sold before the chalukah didn't do anything. Alma ein lo bechor kodem chalukah. He doesn't have anything before the chalukah. Who's that? That is Rav Papa. However, v'hilchasa, they didn't like what they said in Eretz Yisrael. Hilchasa yesh lebechor kodem chalukah. He has a bechor kodem chalukah. That's Rav Papi. Therefore, he goes ahead and he's mevater on this bechor part. It's mevater on the bechor for all of the fields. And in this case, where he went ahead and he sold that field, so 2/3 of it will not be sold. His 1/3 of pashut and the other brother's 1/3, but the 1/3 of bechor, in fact, would be sold. Says the Gemara, Marzutra midirishba, Marzutra from Rishba, Palag bitna de paple b'hadiachin b'shava. He was a Bechor, and he went ahead and the pepper, he didn't want to take a double portion of the pepper, he went ahead and he split up the pepper equally amongst all the brothers. Also the Kame de Rav Ashi, Amarle, Hawil vitrasa, b'mixas vitrasa b'chol and chasim kulan. Once he was mevater, even on the pepper. Maisa, what does he hold? He holds like Rav Papi, that it's Bechor has a chelek right away. Therefore, once he's mevater, even on the chelek Bechor in the pepper, he's mevater on the chelek Bechor across the board, which is interesting, because maybe I just don't want a lot of pepper. Or in the fields, I'll take the double. But again, he has to be clear that if he's being mevater the pepper, he needs to say, I'm being mevater just the pepper. But if he doesn't say that, then Lamaisa, since he has the right to be mevater, he's mevater by the pepper, and we assume he's mevater on and sade across the board, like Rav Papi, and he will not get even in the field. Zok the Mishnah. Ha'omer ish ploni. B'ni bechor lo yital pishnayim. If the guy says that my son the bechor should not take pishnayim, he says the entire thing. Or he says ish ploni b'ni lo yirash imechav. or he says this son should not get a Yerusha with his brothers, lo amar klum. It doesn't count, and when he dies, this guy gets double, and this guy gets his portion. Why? Shehidna mashakatsu b'Torah. You can't make a tanai against that which is written in the Torah. And the Gemara and the Torah says, when the guy dies, you give this guy the bechor, and you give this guy double, and you give this guy single. And this guy made a tanai that when I die, this guy's not going to get his double, and this guy's not going to get anything. And that's not going to be chal. But we do know that what are you allowed to do? You're allowed to give a matana while you're still alive. And there's a whole idea of a halachic will today, where the way that it basically works is that you give all of the money a minute or an hour before you die. You split it up and you give $100, or I give 95% to this kid, even though he's not the bechor, and 5% to this kid, or 50-50. But you leave a certain amount of money in order to go and be yotzei the way that the Torah says. So you'll give, if you have $2 million, halavai, mir Hashem, so you say, I want to give $1.5 million to be split up equally, 750 and 750. The extra $500,000, the bechor will get 2/3, and the regular brother will get 1/3. But you can go ahead and take the main part of it. Again, if you do it appropriately, you take the main part of it, and that's a matana while you're still alive. But once you die, whatever money's left, that needs to go through the regular rules. And that's why if you don't have a will, it's at halacha, you need to give the bechor 2/3. If you don't, if you don't want to, quote unquote, for whatever reason, then you have to make sure that it's all given out as a matana. And it makes sense. You're not going to stop me. Allah is not stopping me if I want to give my kid who lives in Eretz Yisrael, who's not the bechor, if I want to give him money every month, but my kid who lives here is not going to get money. Of course, I can do that. It's in essence what you're doing. You're giving the non-bechor more money throughout your life, quote unquote, and after you pass away, so then it needs to go through. So this guy didn't give any money. He's not talking about during his life. He's talking about when I die, the bechor will not get double, or when I die, this kid will not get his portion. That you can't do, because that's mefurish in the Torah. However, a machalig nechasav al piv, if you go ahead and you give them either through a document, or in this case, al piv, which is the case of what? Of a shchiv meira who's dying. And whatever he says, if he gives more to one, less to one, if he gives everybody equal, it's going to be kayamin because it's a matana. Basically, now the Gemara is like chazering and giving the laws. Im amar mishum Yerusha lo amar klum. If you write in the language that you want, this is going to be mishum Yerusha, so then it can't be anything against the Torah. If you write in the beginning, the end, in the middle of the document, mishum matana, dvarif kayamin. So it's just that one word. If you write in the document it's a matana, you can do whatever you want. If you write mishum Yerusha, you can't do anything against what the Torah says. Zak the Gemara. This is not like Rabbi Yehuda. Why? Because again, according to this, you cannot make any tanaim against that which it says in the Torah. Rav Yehuda says, Rav Yehuda actually says that if you make a tanai against that which is in the Torah, when it comes to monetary things, it is kayim. Tanya, because we know we have a brayso that says, Ha'omer leisha. If you say to a woman, Hareya mikudeshes li, I want you to marry me. Aminat she'ein lach alai she'er ksus v'ona. But I'm not going to give you what I'm required to give you. She'er, which is food. Ksus is clothing. V'ona, and the marital relations. Harezo mikudeshes u'tnao batel. You are mekudash, and the t'nai is batel, which is interesting. It's not that you're not mekudash. You're mekudash, but the t'nai are batel. Why? Because they're all, quote unquote, as we'll see, they're not exactly, but the way he's learning is they're all monetary claims. Monetary claims, you can't go against that which it says in the Torah that you have to give her a she'er ksus and ona. Therefore, we're going to get rid of your t'nai. We're going to keep the Baisei Kedushin, and you're going to be married to Rabbi Meir. That's like our Mishnah. You can't go against a Tanai. You can't go and make a Tanai against that which is in the Torah. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, B'davar Shamamon T'nao Kayim. That by a Davar Shamamon, the Tanai is actually be Mekayim. You can make a Tanai against Mammon, and therefore, when you say, Arei Mekudesh Li, Almanat, etc., 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 you are Mekudash. You're not chayiv to give her She'er. You're not chayiv to give her Ksus. Says the Gemara, says the Rashbam, based on what he's saying, you're still chayiv to give her Ona. Because you can't get rid of that, because that's not a Tanai on Mammon, that's a Tanai on Sar Haguf. But still, at the end of the day, you are married, but you see, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you don't have to give share and you don't have to give tzuz, you're allowed to be hidna against Mashakatsu Batorah. That's not like our Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Afilu Tema Rabbi Yehuda. No, what's the classic reason? Think about it for a second. What's the difference between the case of Mikudeshes and our case? What happened in the case of Mikudeshes? She was willing to get married nonetheless. She agreed to the conditions. So if there's a condition that she's agreeing to, then it's fine. The Torah is giving it for her right. They're giving it for her protection. She'er ksus v'hona. If she agrees to those conditions, she's allowed to agree. That's why in that case, according to Rabbi Yehuda, Harei mikudeshes, against these conditions in the Torah, it's still going to be mikudeshes. But in the case over here, what happened? You're trying to give a single portion to the Bechor. He's not getting up and saying, oh, thank you so much, Dad. That's so nice of you. No. He's being macha. He doesn't want you to give a single portion. He wants a double portion. In that case, you can't give a Yerusha against that which it says in the Torah. Hasam yada v'kamachla, hacha lo kamachil. Weiter. Says the Gemara. Different case. Amar of Yosef. Amar, ish ploni b'ni b'chorihu. Now, we're not talking about him giving a Yerusha or Matana. Now we're trying to figure out, we know the guy's leaving a double portion for the Bechor. We don't know who his Bechor is. He has a bunch of kids, and we don't remember which one was born first. We don't know. He just moved here. Which one is the Bechor? So it says in Gemara, Rabbi Yossi says, if a guy says, Ish ploni b'ni bechorihu, this guy is my Bechor, we believe him. Not el pishnayim. Ish ploni bechorhu, if he points to one of these kids and says, this is the Bechor, Eino notel pishnayim. He doesn't get double. What's the difference if he says this is my Bechor or this is the Bechor? Dilma buchra di'ima ka'amar. Because you know that the halacha is that if it's the Bechor of the mother and not the Bechor of the father, you don't get the pishnayim. You still get the Yerusha, you won't get the pishnayim. At the end of the day, so you'll get, you still get the Yerusha because he's claiming that he's still the father, but you won't get the pishnayim. So therefore, when he says this is my Bechor, we believe him. And therefore the guy gets the pishnayim. He says this is the Bechor, and we have to be choshesh that maybe it's the Bechor of the mother and not his Bechor, and therefore we will not give him pishnayim. Hudatza l'kamei de Rabba bar Chana, Omar Lei. If he says muksakani b'zeshu Bechor, so they went to the rabbi and they said we have a chazaka, we have an inclination that this guy is actually the Bechor. Omar Lei bina yadas. How do you know that this kid is the Bechor? They want to go split up and they say this kid's the Bechor. To have a kari, this is not where the father's claiming. This is where other people are claiming. To have a kari le'avua, we could even say that the father died. We're trying to figure out who the Bechor. They're all claiming I'm the Bechor all of a sudden. We're all the Bechor. So the guys, the other witnesses say, well, we have a proof that this guy's the Bechor. How do you know? Because when the father was alive, have a kari le'avua buchra sikla. The father used to call him the Bechor Shota. Okay, so you call him the Bechor Shota. Clearly, he's the Bechor. Says in Gemara, Dilma buchra di'ima hava. The chol buchra di'ima nami buchra sikla karu le. No, maybe when he called him the Bechor Shota, he didn't mean you're actually the Bechor. It wasn't so nice that he called him Bechor Shota. But maybe he wasn't calling him the Bechor and the Bechor Shota. Maybe he was calling him Bechor Shota, a Pasha Bechor. What does that mean? As the Rashbam says, we know that we call a Hadas, which is not kosher, a Hadas Shota. It's not a dumb Hadas, it's just a Hadas Shota. Hadas Shota means it's a Pasha Hadas. It's not a kosher Hadas. So he called him a Bechor Shota. Maybe he wasn't saying he's the Bechor, but he happens to be a Shota. Maybe he's calling him a Bechor Shota to say you're not a real Bechor, because you're only your mother's Bechor. And therefore we have no proof that this guy's a Bechor and we can't give him the double portion. Another case. We know that this guy's the Bechor. How do we know? Is when we rabbi his father while he was alive. This son that we're claiming to be the Bechor, his name was Shechachas. Interesting name. But how do you know that Shechachas is the Bechor, says the rabbi? Because when we rabbi him, the father told us, go to my son Shechachas, Dibuchrahu Masirukya, because he's the Bechor, and when he spits, it heals. His saliva is able to heal you. Very interesting. So he says that must be a proof. Why is that a proof? Maybe the fact that his saliva heals, maybe he's just a Bechor of the mother and his saliva heals. No, Gemiri, we have a tradition, Buchra de Abba Masirukya, Buchra de Ima lo Masirukya. We have a tradition that the saliva of a Bechor from a father will be able to heal people, and the saliva of a Bechor of an Ima will not be able to heal people. I'll just tell you parenthetically, I am a Bechor, so if anybody ever needs me to give you some of my saliva, I would be more than happy to do so, preferably in public. Yes. Okay. Amar Ravami. Ravami says we're going to.
What happens when he's in the front row?
What happens in the front row? I was always curious what they're doing in Chabad when they say Shehem Mishtachavim, but now I understand. They're actually, it's only the Bechors that spit, and they're giving up from their spit. Amar Ravami. Tumtum shenikra v'nimsa zachar einu notel pishnayim. What happens if you have a case of a tumtum? A tumtum is you don't know if it's a boy or girl. He doesn't have the simanim. So now, Lamaisa, finally, before the father dies, at some point, nikra v'nasa zachar. They tear, and it appears at some point that he's actually a zachar. Eino notel pishnayim. Even if this happens before the father dies, he doesn't get double. Why? The Amar Krav v'haya haben ha-bechor lasniya. The word v'haya there is extra, and there happens to be that the bechor is the sniya. Ad sheyehi ben mishas havaya. He needs to be a ben from the time that he was made, and this guy who's a tumtum is not a ben from the time that he's made. He only becomes a ben. He only becomes a zachar later on in life when it rips, and he was clearly, again, he was a ben the entire time, but it wasn't clear that he was a ben, and therefore if he's not clearly a ben from the beginning, even if he was the firstborn, he's not going to get the bechor. And finally, we'll end with this, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar, Af Eino Nidon Kiben Sorer Umore. On the positive, this guy who's a tumtum will not be able to be treated as a ben sorer morer. Why? Because the Amar Krag, it says ki yihya leish ben sorer morer. Then there is to a person a ben sorer morer. Achi yehei ben mishas havaya. So too, you need to be a ben mishas havaya from the time that you were born, and therefore he will not be in the halacha or in the parsha of bechor, but he also, Baruch Hashem, will not be in the parsha of Ben Sora and Mora, and the Rashbam just adds that for sure an androgynos, who we don't ever know, and there's no way to ever know whether he's a Bechor, whether he's a Ben or a Bas, for sure the androgynos, Kal V'chomer, will not get the Chelek Bechorah. Shkoyach, everyone.